There are moments when you say nothing, and yet the room changes. Eyes turn toward you before you speak. Some people lean in, curious, drawn. Others look away, uneasy, unsure why. You've barely entered, and yet your presence has already been felt. This isn't imagination, this is energy, and energy speaks louder than words. Your aura, the subtle field of emotion, memory, frequency, and essence that surrounds you, is not silent. It communicates, it reveals, it remembers. And the truth is, it often says more about you than anything you'll ever articulate. Carl Jung believed that much of who we are exists outside of conscious awareness, and yet it influences everything. He wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. What you carry beneath your words, what you've survived, what you've healed or hidden, all of that speaks through your energy. And people feel it, whether they understand it or not. This is why you've been misunderstood. This is why you've been judged for being too much without doing anything at all. This is why strangers feel safe near you, or threatened, or both. Because your aura says things even you haven't fully decoded. Some carry charm, others carry knowledge. You carry truth, and truth, when it walks into a room, always creates reaction. This video is not just about how others feel you, it's about helping you understand what your presence is saying before you open your mouth. It's about recognizing the unseen conversations you're having all the time, through your silence, your stillness, your very being. If you've always felt like people respond to something in you that you couldn't quite explain, stay with me. What you're about to hear might give language to the part of you that's been speaking all along, without ever needing words. Before you speak, before you move, before anyone even knows your name, your aura is already in the room. An aura isn't just a spiritual concept or something reserved for the mystical. It's the subtle field of energy that surrounds you, shaped by your emotions, your beliefs, your past experiences, and even the parts of yourself you haven't yet faced. It's not seen, but it's undeniably felt. Think of it as your emotional signature, the invisible residue of your consciousness. You carry it with you like a second skin. And while you may not always be aware of it, other people respond to it constantly. Through this field, your truth, conscious or unconscious, is broadcast to the world. Carl Jung didn't speak directly in terms of auras, but he understood the concept deeply. He believed that the unconscious mind is not locked away inside us. It expresses itself outwardly, subtly, symbolically, and relationally. The unconscious leaks. It colors the way we perceive and are perceived. Your aura is that leakage made visible, or rather, made vibrational. You can walk into a room filled with smiles and feel tension before a word is said. You can meet someone and immediately sense heaviness behind their laughter. That's your field reading theirs. Energy meeting energy far beyond the level of intellect or language. And others are reading you too, even if they don't realize it. Your aura holds the echoes of every chapter you've lived, every wound you've healed, and every wound you've buried, every version of yourself you've outgrown or clung to. Some of those frequencies are calm, luminous, magnetic. Others may still carry residue from old fears, old habits, old masks, and all of it communicates. People don't always react to what you say. They react to what your energy says. They respond to how safe, how centered, how coherent your field feels. They sense if there's chaos beneath your smile or peace beneath your silence. Your presence carries signals your mind hasn't yet translated into words, but your body knows. Have you ever noticed how someone can say all the right things, but something just feels off? That's the aura. That's why no amount of pretending can override what your energy is truly emanating. And when your energy is aligned with who you really are, not who you're trying to be, people feel it deeply, instinctively, often without knowing why. This is why you may have been told you're intense, even when you're quiet. Why people seem drawn to you or triggered by you without any clear reason. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just present in a way many people have forgotten how to be. Your energy is awake, and in a world that sleeps and that presence speaks volumes, your aura is not decoration, it's declaration. And the more aware you become of it, the more you own your vibration, the more you begin to walk through life, knowing that even in silence, you are always speaking. When your aura speaks, others don't always understand what they're hearing, but they react, sometimes subtly, sometimes intensely. And most of the time, it has nothing to do with what you said or did. Some people will be drawn to you instantly. They'll feel safe, seen, understood, even if you've barely spoken. You've probably experienced it. Strangers sharing secrets they've never told anyone. People becoming emotional in your presence without knowing why. It's not your words that opened them. It's your field. Your presence gave their nervous system permission to soften. Their guard fell not because of what you said, but because of what your energy allowed. This is especially true if you carry a calm, grounded aura, one shaped through years of inner work, reflection, or even deep suffering that was transmuted into clarity. That kind of field carries weight. It tells others, you don't need to perform here, you can just be. And in a world full of masks, that kind of silent invitation is rare and powerful. But not everyone responds with openness. Some will feel discomfort. They may become defensive, cold, distant, or even critical. And again, not because of what you've done, but because of what you represent. Carl Jung spoke extensively about projections, the unconscious act of placing one's own unresolved material onto others. When someone encounters a person with a strong, coherent aura, it can trigger their own shadow. Your energy becomes a mirror, and what they see isn't always beautiful. If they haven't faced their inner pain, your presence might agitate it. If they've spent years suppressing emotion, your calm may feel threatening. If they're used to control, your freedom might feel dangerous. This is why some people reject you before they get to know you, why others pull away without explanation, why you've been called too much or hard to read or overwhelming, even when you were simply quiet. They weren't reacting to your personality, they were reacting to your vibration. Your aura might have reminded them of something they left behind, or something they still haven't become. And that discomfort, though invisible, speaks louder than words. You've likely been in relationships where the intensity was palpable from the start. People who said they felt like they'd known you forever, or who said they couldn't stop thinking about you. That's the aura too. When your energy touches someone else's, it activates dormant material, both beautiful and painful. And if they're not ready for what arises, they'll run. Not from you, but from the parts of themselves you made impossible to ignore. This is the power of presence. It's not always gentle, it's not always celebrated, but it is always transformative. You've probably also noticed how people test your boundaries without realizing it. They push against your silence, they challenge your stillness, they try to define you in ways that make them feel more comfortable. But when your energy doesn't conform, when it remains steady, sovereign, unshaken, it disrupts their patterns. And sometimes they don't know how to handle that. There's something disarming about a person who doesn't need to impress, control, or perform. Someone whose energy simply is honest, grounded, whole. That's what your aura offers. And that offering, while healing to many, is unbearable to others. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Your presence irritates not because it's wrong, but because it holds up a mirror, one that many have spent their whole lives avoiding. Even the people who admire you may struggle with what you awaken in them, because deep down they know you see them, not just their words or image, but their essence. And being seen that deeply can be beautiful and terrifying. So what do you do with this? You honor it. You stop apologizing for the effect your presence has. You stop shrinking to make others feel comfortable in their denial. You stop pretending you don't notice what you notice. And you start owning the fact that your energy has impact. Yes, it attracts, yes, it repels, yes, it transforms, but it doesn't need to be explained. It only needs to be understood by you. The truth is, your aura speaks a language most people forgot how to hear, but for those who are ready, it becomes a door, a moment, a turning point, and once they've felt that vibration, they will never forget you, even if they leave, even if they resist, even if they never say it out loud, because you didn't speak to their mind. You spoke to something older, something truer, something real, and that kind of presence and that kind of energetic truth ain't as impossible to ignore. The truth is, your aura is always speaking. The question is, do you know what it's saying? You may already feel how people respond to your energy, how they lean in or pull away, how they open or close, how they remember you even in silence. But what if you could consciously shape that presence? What if your aura could be aligned with your deepest truth, not your unresolved pain? Your aura isn't fixed, it's fluid. It evolves as you evolve. And like any language, it can become clearer, more coherent, more powerful when you're aware of it. Carl Jung believed that the process of becoming whole, what he called individuation, required us to bring the unconscious into the light, to know ourselves not just on the surface, but in our depths. When you do that, your aura begins to reflect not just emotion, but essence. It begins to radiate congruence. That's the energy people feel when they say someone is real. It's not about being perfect, it's about being aligned. When what you feel, think, and do are in harmony, when you're not performing or defending, your field becomes clear, solid, grounded. So how do you cultivate that kind of presence? It begins in silence, not the kind that escapes, but the kind that listens. When you sit with yourself, not to fix but to feel, your energy begins to settle. The noise falls away, the mask dissolves, and the real you, beneath all the programming, starts to emerge. It also happens through honesty. Every time you speak your truth, gently, clearly, without aggression, your aura becomes stronger. Every time you walk away from what doesn't resonate, your field becomes cleaner. Every time you choose presence over performance, your vibration sharpens. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And when you do, your energy becomes unmistakable. Not because it's loud, but because it's pure. You also protect your aura by choosing your environments wisely. Some places drain you. Some people cloud your field. It's not personal, it's energetic. If your body feels tense, heavy, or scattered in someone's presence, trust that your aura is speaking. Learn to listen. Likewise, be mindful of the stories you keep telling yourself. Your energy is shaped not just by what happens to you, but by what you continue to carry. Old guilt, unresolved anger, shame, self-doubt, all of it leaves a signature in your field. The more you release, the more space you make for truth to enter. This isn't about being high vibe all the time. That's just another performance. It's about integrity, wholeness, depth. Sometimes your aura will feel soft and gentle, other times fierce and firm. But when it's honest, truly aligned with your core, it becomes medicine. Not just for you, but for others. People may still project, they may still resist, but the difference is you'll no longer question your presence. You'll know that your field is clear, and that knowing creates peace, the kind of peace that makes your silence feel full and your presence feel safe. In the end, you are not just a body. You are a field, a frequency, a walking conversation between the seen and the unseen. And when you align that field with your truth, you stop needing to explain yourself, because your energy speaks first. and those who are meant to hear it always will. So don't underestimate the power of your presence. You don't have to chase attention. You don't have to demand to be heard. You only have to remember you are always being felt, and in a world addicted to noise, a coherent presence is louder than 1,000 words. If something in this message echoed in you, if your own aura whispered back in recognition, leave this phrase below as a quiet confirmation. My aura speaks for me, and now I listen. Let others feel you in that silence.